All right, at 6:30, I will call this public safety meeting to order. Roll call has been taken. We'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Evans, second by Foodie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes from November 18th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Foodie, second by Evans. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. First thing, we'll have citizens wishing to be heard.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Kathy Conti. I live at 630 East Center Street. I'm here tonight to see if the public safety could help me rectify some issues that I'm having with my neighbor for quite a long time, and it's starting to affect my quality of life. So I think now it's time for someone to help me out a little bit here. So the first part of it is the vehicles parked in the driveway wake me up every morning at 5 o'clock with the dinging of his vehicle when he starts it up, and he lets it ding and ding and ding, and so it wakes me up every morning. But now there's a semi that he's parking in his driveway, and he's starting that up at 4 in the morning, and it shakes my whole house because my bedroom is right next to his driveway. And so I was looking to see in the ordinance if there was anything that prohibits a semi being parked in a residential area, because it's really loud when it starts. It's like, it wakes you out of a dead sleep because it's that loud. And it really does shake the house. And that's been kind of an ongoing thing with vehicles and noise. And not only that, but snow blowing at 4:30 in the morning. And I couldn't really see that that was an issue in any of the ordinances. And what I was wondering if the semi had something to do if there was an internal combustion engine, because that's in the ordinance. And so I just would like some assistance from public safety, because it's really a problem for me. And if somebody could follow up with me on that, I would appreciate that, to see if there's something you could do, put in an ordinance, or maybe amend something, because it really is truly a big, big problem. And then the other part of the problem is the parking of vehicles. And the only thing I see in there is about something about 30 feet for a vehicle. But the parking in front of my house has obstructed my view to get out of my driveway. I've almost gotten hit several times. And Center Street, there's a lot of semis on Center Street. It's gotten to be really, really busy. So that between the trucks and the cars and the campers and the work trucks, it obstructs my view. There's been several incidences where my garbage has been bypassed because they're parked in front of my garbage, and they don't pick it up because they can't get to it. So these are the issues that I have, and I would really like public safety to consider these problems that I'm having. Okay?
Okay.
Kathy, have you confronted the neighbor?
Well, he's kind of hard to confront. He's a little difficult when you bring something to his attention. He just really doesn't, I just want to say, he just really doesn't care. I don't think he cares about violating any noise. I mean, when I read some of the things, it is disturbing of the public peace. When I read some of this, like the frequency and repetitive continuous sound of any motor vehicle. But I see that the warning of danger is permitted and required by law. So when you're backing up, it's beeping, beeping, beeping. That happens. Yeah, that happens all the time too, because he brings home heavy equipment. So I guess the question is, are you allowed to park all this stuff in your driveway? Is there any vehicle limit that you can I mean, I know that's kinda hard, but.
Yeah.
Guess I have to turn it over to the police chief.
But you said, I mean, he can't park just a semi-tractor he's parking in his driveway, or?
Well, the bed is not there.
Right.
Just the big, huge tractor part.
Yeah.
But that's loud. Very loud.
Yeah.
And that's the part that's kind of putting me over the edge. I'm like, well, my circadian rhythm has changed from him getting up at 5 in the morning, and, you know, for hearing it for so many years, I mean, every single time he starts his truck, it wakes me up. So I don't know if, I've tried everything. I've put furniture in front of my window. I have confronted him a couple times on a few things, but I've not been, I think it'd be more effective if the city could at least send a letter or the concerns about the noise, because it's really affecting me.
Have you contacted the police department already, or?
I have, and the thing is there's really nothing in there about parking a semi in your.
Well, the hard thing is, this is when the gentleman starts his day. I mean, you can't change his work hours, so that's kind of tough.
No, and that's why I've never really brought that up too much. I mean, even though it wakes me up every day, it's still, shut your door. All you have to do is shut your door, because it's the dinging that wakes me up from his work truck.
Well, and if you could park his tractor someplace else and drive to it, that would save you a lot of.
That would be the most reasonable thing to do if you'd ask me. Why would you bring a semi into a residential area?
You mean the thing that you just don't shut the door, that's.
This is two separate issues, but yeah, he
Okay.
leaves his door open when he starts it, and then he goes back in the house. So you're dinging, 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 and that's what wakes me up. Now, I think that's repetitive noise per this, ordinance. But the other part is that semi-part, that's really a nuisance.
Mhm.
And that's basically why I'm here, because that kind of has been putting me over the edge. Because now I'm getting woken up on the weekends too.
Right.
So that's my problem.
Dave, you got any comments on that?
Well, it was just the other day that I had spoke with Kathy, because that's when I found out about the issues with the semi, because I didn't know that there was a semi being parked there to begin with.
Right.
But, you know, yeah, there is nothing in the ordinance that says you cannot or can
Park some on your driveway,
park
right?
a tractor in a residential area. It's typically, a street is controlled by the weight limit, that's what will keep it off. You know, an ordinance change obviously would have to be looked at, and if that's the route a person wanted to go. The quickest and easiest certainly would be me having contact with the neighbor and saying, you know, these are the concerns that
Right.
the police department has. What can we do to rectify the problem?
Yeah.
So, but.
And you said you tried to talk to him, or you not
I
really?
have in the past.
Okay.
Mhm, I haven't for a long time, because,
Okay.
it's just not worth it. I don't really wanna sit here and complain about a neighbor.
Right.
It's been going on for a very long time. The semi thing just started, so I'm kinda trying to nip that part in the bud. But the other parts have been going on the parking, situation has been going on for 3-4 years. And sometimes they block part of my driveway, so I was wondering if the city could maybe paint, put some paint yellow in front of my driveway, so at least they park this way. But I know the post office complained, and they put something up, for the car to park past the, postage. And I know that they park but nobody parks in the driveway, is what cracks me up. It's like you have all these vehicles, and you're parking them all in the street and inconveniencing everybody, but your driveway's empty. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me, but.
This is going on this time of year?
Not right now, but it goes on, it's just gotten progressively worse over the last 3 years. I mean, last year was really bad. I have my driveway blocked, backing up, blocking, obstructing, and then there's times where people that he brought to work with him, they park their pickup trucks all on the street. So it's gotten kinda out of hand if you ask me, but right now, the only thing I see as far as the parking goes is that they're parking out there overnight. And so if we have snow, and that's only happened a couple times that I have seen. But I'm up because I get woken up every
So there's
day.
vehicles that come in the morning after 6 o'clock and park on the street all day? Is that-
Yeah, sometimes, this is, last year, yes. mhm.
Well, that's obviously your problem when you're backing out and the mailman wanting to get to your mailbox and stuff
Right,
like that.
right, it's an obstruction.
But overnight, from 11 till 6 in the morning, there's cars parked on the street?
Just a couple times I've seen this year.
Okay, so that isn't a ongoing problem overnight?
No, I don't even care, I'm just saying, if they're parked in front of my house and it snows and I don't get plowed out, well, then it's gonna affect me and that's my problem. So, it's not my problem right now, I only really care about what affects me, because I don't care what anybody does, really. I mean, I do, but I don't. So,
Well, I'd be upset too if my garbage wasn't getting picked up because
Yeah.
vehicles are blocking access to them.
now this was, prior to the change of the season for parking out in the street, that had gone on. And I should have said something sooner, but I just really don't wanna be that kind of neighbor, but now the whole semi thing puts it at a whole new level. So, that's all I have to say.
Okay.
I hate to bother everybody with this, but it really is a nuisance, or it's gotten to be.
So is this something, Dave, I mean, you go talk to Doug about this? Do you want Kathy to come along, or you just wanna do it by yourself, or what'd you decide? What'd you suggest?
Well, I'll do it by myself.
Okay. Is that all right with you? Dave goes and just talks to him about these
That's
concerns
fine,
and
sure.
gets back to you on it?
That sounds good, yes. Hopefully, he'll be a little cognizant of the neighbors a little bit.
Right, I mean, I
more.
can see, if leaving the door open, the alarm going off, the door's open, the door should be shut when you've got his vehicle run, that would help a little bit there, so.
That would really help.
Yeah, and that's,
I
yeah.
could sleep.
That would help,
I
yes.
could sleep past 5
Yeah.
o'clock.
But as far as the snow blowing, I mean, the guy had, you gotta get his driveway cleared out in the morning, you gotta clear, there ain't an ordinance about doing your snow blowing early in the morning, so.
Yeah, 4 in the morning, you're snow
Yeah.
blowing?
Well, it depends what time you gotta go to work, I suppose, so,
Well, I understand that.
You know.
So I've never complained about that.
yeah, so.
That's not every night, so.
Yeah, right, a couple times.
Right, it doesn't
Yep.
happen too much, not as frequently as it used to.
We don't get as much snow as we used to.
No,
It's a good
that's
thing,
right. We
so.
haven't had any, thank God,
Yeah,
it's like saying,
right.
thank God we don't have any snow this
Yep.
year. So, all right.
All right,
well,
Kathy, Dave
Thanks
will
for your time.
have a talk with him and we'll go from there.
All right, that sounds great, I really appreciate that, thank
Alrighty.
you.
Yep, thanks for coming. All right, with that, we'll move to the police chief, monthly report for December and January.
Okay, the monthly reports handed out. You guys can look that over, and but one of the, couple other things, the house fire follow-up from Fairfield. I talked to one of the owners, one of the other owners never got back to me, but basically they are letting it out for bids for tear down.
Okay.
So once those come in, he said he had one bid had come in, but he thought it was kind of high. He doesn't know what he's gonna do with it, possibly just sell it off and let somebody else rebuild them, but so
But they're probably
hopefully-
tearing the whole thing down, right? Not just half of it, or?
Yeah, the whole, well.
Yeah. I mean, I think the whole thing's gonna go down.
Yeah, the whole thing's gonna have to
been
go
open
down,
so
because
long now.
the
Yeah.
guy that I talked to was on the south end, the
Right.
better end.
Yeah.
So, and it's
I mean, you
So-
could possibly rebuild, but I think it'd be best just to tear it all down and start over.
Well, yeah, I don't think you could anymore.
Yeah, right, it's been so
So
long.
anyways, that's the latest, that they're letting it out for bids for
Okay,
getting contractors in to tear it down.
Do we have anything for a time allotment allowed for something like this? Cause I mean, this has happened in August.
It's
I
gonna be done
mean-
by Thanksgiving.
This is ridiculous that it even went this long.
Yeah.
Is it something we should be researching and getting into our city ordinances?
Well, I mean, it might be, but then right now with everything that's gone on in this country, you get the delays from that, but I think the biggest delay was the insurance companies were fighting
yeah,
amongst
because
each
you had
other.
two different owners, I think, the duplex, I think. that
Well,
was
if
the
we
big-
had an ordinance in place that had a forfeiture for every day over that time limit, that would make those insurance companies
It would
stand
speed
up
'em
and
up.
take notice, let me
Yeah.
tell you.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that might be something that,
Do you want that referred to plan commission?
well, I don't know, that or we can just, maybe send out to other municipalities and see if anybody else has anything.
Or why don't you do a research and then bring it back to this committee and then we'll forward it
Anybody
to
else got any
plan commission so we can get something
ordinance or anything, a time
established.
allotment, or,
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
yeah, it's
I
been too
mean,
long.
Cause you
I
need
know
to
so-
talk to Megan with the Clerks Network
Mhm.
to send
Yeah.
something out. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
I know our city of Beaverdam has allowed a couple of them to go a long time too, and I'm sure they probably altered their ordinances to include a time frame in that, because
Yeah.
there's really no excuse for that to be laying there that long and having the neighbors look at it for that long.
Well,
so,
right.
you know.
Yeah, when it's internally, you don't
Yeah.
see
It's
it,
not
like
looking
some
at
of
the
them.
website, is there?
Absolutely.
Is there somebody living in half of it?
I don't think so, no.
I just seen the
I
vehicle.
see there's a
parked
car
there,
there
and
every
it's
once in a
just
while on
like-
the other side, but I mean,
That's the
I just
neighbor
like-
using the driveway,
oh,
so
okay.
if they.
I said they can't be there.
No, they're just
Okay.
using the driveway, which is nice, because then they also take care of the snow
Okay,
for
I mean-
the use of the driveway.
This is a half a day project with a hi-ho and a couple dump trucks, you know,
Mhm.
yeah.
it'll be down to the basement by starting morning,
Yeah.
by the end of the day, the lot should even be cleaned up, I would think, so,
Right.
you know, it's not a big project to have to, not like we're taking down a 3-story brick and mortar building or anything like that, so,
But yeah, I can check.
I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, look into that. David?
And with us tonight is Dylan Townsend. He is our newest officer. He started January 3rd. He was fresh out of the academy. He is in field training right now and doing really well. And very, very impressed. He even teaches me things on the computer. So, which isn't a hard.
Them young guys are good at that stuff though, right?
Welcome,
Yeah,
So
welcome to Juneau.
Dylan.
Thank you.
tell us something about yourself.
I grew up in Kimberly, which is about an hour and 10 minutes from here. So I grew up in the bigger, well, not too big, but the bigger cities. So it's little adjustment to come to Juneau, but I really like it so far. That know a lot of people and can remember names with faces. So, or in Kimberly, you just hear a name and that's it. Where when I graduated high school, there was probably half of them that they said their name across the stage, and I was like, I had no idea who that is. So it's nice to be able to connect with each and every person.
Sure. So, and Dylan had the great pleasure of sitting in and being interviewed with Mr. Sweeney and myself. So, on the last police chief report, we had Dylan on that, so he's a celebrity. But no, we are very happy to have him, and like I said, he's doing real good during
Good.
field training. And one of the things when he applied, you know, he talked about what he just said about being not knowing the names when he graduated and that, but that's one of the things that he looked for in a police department, to come to a department and that where they actually know him by his name and not just a number.
Sure.
So we hope to have him here for a long time to come. So
Right, well, welcome to Juneau.
Thank you.
Good luck.
It's been fun so far.
We're good.
Well, it's always good to get fresh ideas and
Yeah.
new technology in, so.
A lot of variety in a small department.
374.
Are you living in Juneau then, or?
No, I live in Beaver Dam,
Okay.
which is the first place I could find with how tight the apartment units are. I was trying to look around here, but there was nothing available, so I decided to go to Beaver Dam.
There you go, all right. So, okay.
Have a good night.
Yep, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Anything else for the
no,
police chief report? Otherwise, moving on, we have the sidewalk cafe ordinance discussion and take possible action. I know last year we had it in, I think just 1850 is about the only place that did it, and they want to do a little bit longer. And was there a starting date for this, or?
there is April 1st, and then it
Okay,
went
April
through
1st.
October 1st, but they
They want to
had
move
asked,
to November.
and we had talked at the last time that we'd move it till November 1st.
Yep, they want to include the Halloween, if the weather's decent, whatever, if they can get out there.
And then the only other thing that we had talked about was no open flame for a heat source.
Right, they had some kind of heat or something out there, I think.
And I did go talk to them after that, and they totally understood that they couldn't have an open flame. So whatever they do, they're gonna do one of those elevated patio heaters that has the thing over the top. So they'll do something different next year, or beginning of this year.
So I don't know if we want to include that in here.
I would think we'd wanna leave it in.
Yeah, that wasn't in there before, no open flame.
Right, it was not.
Okay,
So I don't know what we want for wording though, would be the thing that we have to.
No open flame, that sounds good.
No
Yeah,
open-
I would say no open flame,
Devices is what.
yeah, I mean, you
spread
can have like a
the
radiant
last
heat
time.
or something like that, but.
yeah, and, you know, I would just make it no open flame, heat or cooking source.
Because did we have an ordinance or set in place?
This was a pilot
This-
program.
This was just a pilot program,
yeah,
so now we're gonna do an ordinance, so.
Yeah, this would become the ordinance.
Okay.
But if you reviewed the former city clerk's letter, anytime you change anything in this thing, gets costly, so you wanna review this and make sure that all of these aspects, so during the trial period are addressed in this, so we do it one time and one time only.
I mean, if you want me to get some wording from our building inspector or the fire inspector, we can do that.
Or does no open flame heater cooking devices suffice?
Appliances,
Right,
Yeah,
appliances, I guess covers it all.
and appliance covers it all.
Yeah. That's how fire code and.
Most of them read it,
Yeah, right,
cooking or heating appliance.
appliances, they kind of use that language in their code.
Yeah.
I haven't heard any complaints of the pilot program in the 1850s. I do know firsthand that the bowling alley is looking to execute
right.
this year, so.
Yeah, it looked nice out there what they had, I think, with the.
Yeah, they did not comply with tying down the furniture though.
No.
That stuff was all free floating. I don't know how aggressive you wanna get with that. You know, we haven't had any storms last year that would've lifted them up and blown them around the street or what have you, but he said when we talked to him afterwards that he was just having trouble with as unlevel as it was to be able to put any anchormans in and get them fastened down and seat properly, so.
I think what he had for furniture was a little bit heavier, cause it was that wicker, it looked like that wicker type. And then he had the cushions that came in and out. You know, which probably is for tear down in the fall, not having an anchor probably.
Right, well, he's-
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he had enough anchors for the fence that he had around it, or the gate that he had all around it, so that all had to be tagged in, so
I thought he had talked about anchoring something in, or
he did.
Well, he did.
was
when he
that for the
first-
furniture?
Yeah.
And it
when
just
he-
wasn't working?
Well, I think due to the levelness of the sidewalk is what he
Okay.
must have told the mayor, but, yeah, he did originally say that when he first came here.
Okay.
Cause that was a requirement, I'm trying to find it here now where it's written, and I'm looking past it. It was a requirement from Plan Commission, I know that. Couple of size number. And I think he did maintain that 5 foot plus, I think he said he was about 6 feet from his railing or fence to the curb, which was good for pedestrian traffic, you know, to go past the place. I'm not seeing it here.
Yeah, I think that was a plan commission requirement.
I don't know why it wouldn't have been included in here, but was this a separate document from somebody else, or?
No, this is always,
Well, if you were asking him to mount that stuff to the ground and not have it movable, I think that would be difficult. I've used it a couple times, and you need to be able to move the chairs to get in and out of them. They got high sides on them. You can't drop into them. I mean, they're good sized patio chairs.
Yeah.
I don't think you'd be able, unless you tell him he's gotta have the tables mounted down or something, but I think it would be a little difficult, but that's up to.
Yeah, it makes sense, you'd want the chairs movable, I think, so.
Well, and I think you'd wanna be able to move them to clean, and
Yeah,
you don't wanna unbolt them to put them away in the,
I think if you were using like the table and chair setup, like what's up at the ice cream station.
Yep.
yeah.
Those obviously are bolted tight.
Right.
And,
The chairs the benches are actually part of the table.
yeah.
Right.
But this was something that he even wanted to do, to make sure that they didn't get carried
That they
off
didn't
or
walk away.
lifted or what have you, so. So whether we wanna include that in the ordinance, or whether you wanna throw that back at planning commission, I guess either way, I guess you can do it. I guess the safety aspect of it, I think, is pretty well covered here. Yeah, we certainly don't want open flame underneath there,
No,
especially
no.
with the canopy above it and whatever, so. But I think everybody that used it during this first year of trial has been civil, and haven't heard of any incidents, unless Dave, you wanna share some?
No, we haven't had any complaints about it.
They kept
Every comment that was received was how nice it looked, and it was nice that Juneau was trying something new, and
yeah.
so.
This place in general looks nice.
Mm-hmm.
Coming to town for the first time, driving down the street, that place would definitely catch your eye, so.
So should we, kick this to the planning commission?
And then
See
I
what they
guess-
have to say, and then it comes back here. We're gonna have to do this as a pilot program for a short time then, because we aren't gonna get an ordinance passed before April 1st.
No. But the ordinance can come into play after the April 1st, that starting date, I mean, it'd just be under ordinance.
But we'd have to approve another year
Yep,
of the pilot program. so
I mean,
they
that you can do tonight, subject to planning commission review. I mean, you can do that as well, if you're happy with what you got here, if you don't think there's any other safety issues, Dave, if you got anything else, I mean, it was a good catch, but it was kind of by, they're used to using an open
Right.
a
It's what they
backyard
use.
fireplace is what it boiled down to, where they had exposed flame and what have you,
Yeah.
that was kind of caught and.
Yeah.
Now those heaters are generally either natural gas or LP tanks on them. How do we, I don't know, maybe we don't even wanna touch that as far as the storage of LP tanks. I mean, is he gonna haul that heater in at night and put it? I don't like a 20-pound cylinder sitting in anybody's business, because that can be,
It's mounted right under it, and if he chooses to lock them up so they don't walk away,
okay,
I mean, I think they're lockable.
I'm sure they are.
And you can
I
put a
guess
chain
I'd rather
around it so it doesn't
That's
leave.
fertile.
Yeah, he's got one. I guess I'd rather see them kept outside than
Oh,
make
Put it in the
them
building.
take them in and out every night, or
And it
store
leaks.
them off premise someplace,
Yeah.
because then you know they're just gonna be pulled into the bar and left or whatever.
Right.
So.
Well, you could put no unlocked flame cooking or heating appliances, but insinuating it must be locked.
Well, what we're trying to address here is this is for the flame. We wanna keep this locked or unlocked. We wanna keep this language in there, no open flame appliances. But then we also wanna address that if you have a heating source that's fueled by an LP tank, that
It
the
needs to
LP
be
tank
locked. It
needs to be
locked.
stored and secured safely
So-
outside or something like
Could
that.
possibly be item 9.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they're two different items. And those things, although they all radiate heat within,
Yeah, there's normally an umbrella over them.
yeah, there's that,
And
yeah, that
radiate.
forces the heat down.
Right.
There's no open flame in those?
No, it's a closed flame.
It's
It is
enclosed.
considered a closed flame,
Yeah,
because you can't touch the flame. You don't wanna touch the element, but you
Okay.
can't, it's not a active flame outside of the unit.
Okay.
Yep.
How would you want that worded for storage of LP tanks? Must be secured.
properly secured and locked, stored, secured and locked
Yeah. So they don't just have it sitting next to it.
after hours,
I wouldn't.
after operating hours. or-
I wouldn't want the hose on the ground while they're using it,
Right.
I don't think. Yeah.
Most of the time, the tank is included right in the base.
There's-
In the base, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and honestly, that device probably isn't the best device to even have in that small of an area, because you get somebody that had one too many
Mm-hmm.
White Claws and bangs into it, that could probably tip over easy enough, because it's gonna be somewhat top heavy, I would think, with that cone on it.
Well, with the tank on the bottom of it, it is fairly
helps.
secure, but, yeah, there's always that possibility, but they're pretty stable, they got a pretty good sized base on them, you'd have to knock them pretty hard.
Did he have one there? or-
No, he didn't.
No, or you just don't have any, period.
Yeah,
You know, if it's that cold outside,
go outside.
He had an open,
you really.
He had a regular,
he had an open, you know, the fireplaces with the glass in them?
Mhm.
It's like a coffee table.
So one night I was walking past and it was pushed underneath their overhang, and the flames were like 4 feet above it.
yeah.
Okay.
And I'm thinking like, well, if you didn't have it 4 feet in the glass, that glass stuff, normally the flame is really low, it's not very high, well, they had it cranked up like really high, and that's what I brought the,
Oh, yeah.
that's when I brought to Kurt the attention, I said, this guy's got open flame, there's an ordinance about cooking under your deck or cooking under your porch.
Within so many feet.
Within
You gotta be so
so
many
many
feet away
feet,
from
so-
the building,
That's a good reason.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I think we have to research also how much heat goes off the top of these things.
Yeah, I mean,
You know, because they stand,
They're
they're 7.5
at
foot tall, and, he's got a canopy that's only probably a couple more feet up
Yeah,
above that,
so-
so I'm wondering how much heat actually dissipates off the top of these things.
How about
Yeah.
number 8 is no open or closed flame heating or cooking appliances permitted?
Yeah, I mean, he,
Makes sense.
this isn't something we don't bought already, is it?
Now, when
No.
you look at sidewalk cafes, they normally have
Yep.
either one of these
Yep.
umbrella style ones,
Mhm.
or they're just a glass tube that has a flame in it,
Yeah.
you know, with some guarding around it. I mean, they really throw off a lot of heat. So we're not the only city that's going through this.
Yeah.
There's other cities that have gone through this, they've done the research, they know what works and what doesn't work. So,
And this situation a little unique too, because he does have the canopy.
Correct.
A lot of places don't.
Right.
It's just
right.
open sidewalk with no.
So, I mean, not having an ordinance yet and running another year with it is probably a good idea. But I think within this, maybe it needs to be that any heating or any closed thing has to be approved before he goes out and buys something. Well, now I bought this, you know?
Yeah.
Should be
And we can have
pre-approved
our,
by-
we can have our fire inspector meet with him before he buys one.
I think instead of 8 or 9, you should put what you just said.
I mean, it should be okayed by our city fire inspector.
Does the city fire inspector okay stuff inside the bar?
Yeah,
Doesn't fall
yeah,
into
yeah,
that.
jurisdiction.
per code.
So
Yep.
would that be kind of part of it?
Well, it could be, but if he went out and bought it, he said, well, now I bought it already. You said no open flame, so I bought a closed flame, and then they negate that one, and then he's out that money too. So I don't know how else to do it, other than talking to him and saying, let's look at what you wanna put in, and let's make sure it's okay with the city and the fire inspector.
Yeah, I mean,
That makes sense, yeah.
I mean, we
Makes sense to me.
pay for that service, all we gotta do is send him pictures, he can probably do it online, he doesn't have to be here to see it.
So
If you
any
can-
heating device
I think it should be
would have
okay
to be approved.
by-
Any heating or cooking?
No cooking.
Just heating.
Can't cook
Well, we were
outside.
talking
Cooking
about-
outside.
Well, we were talking, so,
Yeah.
I mean, he could say, well, I've got a grill there, cause I wanna grill something outside, could be a heating device.
Well,
I
that's
don't
what
wanna
I'm
get
saying,
into
do
that.
you wanna?
Well, right,
Yeah.
because I can see that, I mean, they're gonna have like a poker run or something, and they wanna put
Right.
the grills outside, and all of a sudden they're having this big event where
Yeah,
they got 3 grills out cooking because they got 100 people showing up.
And that's what I'm saying,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
do we wanna
Yeah.
include both?
Yeah, I don't know, that's a good question.
so,
I think you almost wanna include both as long as you're doing it right away. Can't put anything out there, heating or cooking without that inspection.
no open flame heating or cooking source,
Without approval from.
yeah. City fire inspector.
Just cross everything
I mean,
Well, that's why we're talking about it.
it takes it off of somebody just saying, yeah, that looks good.
And making a change to November 1st instead
Yeah.
of October 1st.
April 1st to November 1st.
So no open flame heating or cooking appliances permitted without pre-approval of city fire inspector.
Perfect.
Yep,
And then do we still want the storage of LP tanks must be
Yeah.
that'd be
properly
Yep.
secured
Yeah.
for number 9? Does it need to say anything other than what I just read?
No, you gotta pretty much.
Storage of LP tanks must be properly secured.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And locked. That way you got it addressed if they do approve those umbrella type heaters.
Right.
Then it's covered, at least we covered the storage and the.
Mhm.
Those are generally all set up, Dick, with a striker, you know, so they're all totally enclosed.
Yep.
You know, in the bonnet, but to get them going, you open up the tank and you hit the striker, and, you know, it's just like your gas grill at home.
Sure.
Takes off and goes.
Down on North Mill Street, there's a house that has one in there. I think he probably has it sitting outside now,
Yep.
unless he wheeled it in, but.
They're very common, especially down south.
Yeah.
In outdoor eating establishments, because man, when it drops below 60, they're cold. You know? They're firing them things up. They'll be 3 from this end of the table to that end of the table out in the outdoor dining, so, you know,
Yeah.
that's a common thing, so.
So I guess what's the,
I guess we're just gonna move on for another year trial here, I guess, then, and
How do you feel about that?
well, I mean, you certainly could do that, or you could forward this on. You know, I don't know if the plan commission, the only question that came up was the plan commission was whether or not the seats should be, and the tables should be bolted to the sidewalk, but.
What, and no insult to the plan commission, but why would they be concerned with that?
I guess just general, if, you know, if you had high wind or something like that, that the things would be blowing around down the street and whatnot.
You think that, for
Wouldn't
his
that be
sake,
more of a safety thing?
the storm come, you think he'd pick everything up and pack it away?
I
you
think
would
it's something public safety could do though too.
He's in the
because I'm
country.
sure-
If he's in the country, you know, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But are you thinking that's just something we could set here as
Sure.
public safety because it's
Sure
a
you
public
could.
safety issue?
yeah, but I'm not
Absolutely.
sure I want to. I mean, you know, those wicker things, the wicker corner couch or whatever they had in there, they are very heavy because it's all metal construction below the wicker, and they aren't gonna really go anywhere.
It was just something that was discussed, and I
Yeah.
don't know how much thought was put into it anyway, you know. I think the biggest thing is seeing them rolling down the street during a storm, or possibly damaging the neighboring property or something if they picked up and flew around or whatever.
I think with all the glass he's got there, he'd be pretty,
Yeah.
you know, kind of watch
Mhm.
things, but he's smacking
But
into his
on
window.
the
they're
other
gonna
hand, I
break.
can understand why you wouldn't wanna nail down the chairs.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and keep in mind, we're not writing this ordinance for one business.
Right.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But at
Some
least
kind
it
of-
gave you some ideas, food for thought, you know, and see how it worked out here
Yeah.
and what could have been done different. I mean,
If we should wait another year, someone else gets on and we get some more ideas with another business.
You know, because we can incorporate these two additions along with the day change in the pilot program, so it's not like
Yeah.
these restrictions that we're creating tonight wouldn't be part of it, so.
Yeah.
I'd like to probably, after we decide what we're gonna finalize on this document, just get the city attorney's opinion. You know,
Yeah.
temporary, you know, a pilot program for a year, I'm thinking he's gonna want an ordinance following that up. I don't think he probably wants another full year of, cause then you're kinda treading on gray area if something does happen or whatever. The city, God, how many years is the city gonna let them run on a temporary, you know?
Yeah.
When are they gonna actually put it in their ordinance and have it in black and white in case Dave does encounter a problem or something like that? So I guess, yeah, put everything together, we'll just run it by him and say, hey, is it logical to go another year, or do you think we should get this in black and white as an ordinance? I think that's the wise thing to do.
Okay.
None of us are attorneys here, or whatever, but you can only, when you're dealing in municipal government, you can never be too careful, I
Sure.
guess. That's just my suggestion. It's your committee call, so.
So forward to city attorney for review.
Yeah, let's do that. Get it written up and get his turn, see what he.
Do we need a motion to do that, or just do it?
Is there action on that? What's the agenda? Yeah,
Take possible action.
make a motion.
Okay, I would make the motion that we include the November 1st date and the two things that Dave said, 8 and 9, about the open flame and the LP gas tanks, and forward that to the city attorney for review
And recommendation.
and recommendations.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion on the floor, of the sidewalk cafe. Motion by Evans, second by Foodie. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.
Again, we'll probably have to do something before April 1st, because I don't think we'll get an ordinance before then.
Well, we get 2 readings in before
Yeah.
that.
So, we might have to temporarily
Okay.
enact this based on what the attorney says.
All right, got that all written up, Dave?
We're out. send the city attorney for review with noted. With no changes, is that sufficient to
Yeah.
what you're?
Yeah, with the changes that we talked about, yes.
Then I do.
Okay.
So,
Next, we have crossing guards, discuss and take possible action.
so I don't necessarily think, unless you guys have some solutions, that there's any take possible action on, but, we're in dire need of crossing guards. Last week, I had 3 of them out at the same time. And only one fill-in, and the rest was filled in by the police department. We've advertised it, with very little success. I think, mainly I'm bringing it up so that everybody's aware of the situation, and that nobody says, oh my gosh, I didn't know it was this bad, or why didn't. Couple things. A, do we need the crossing guards in the spots that we have them? You know, that may be a thing that we don't staff all those locations. The other thing, and we've talked about this in years past, is putting the orange flashing lights up. And then they push a button, just like in the bigger cities with the crosswalks. You push the button, the orange light flashes when they cross. And you know, the sad part about that is that's about $8,000 for 2 signs to have installed. It's kind of pricey, but you know, if there's no humans out there doing it, that's the alternative. So.
And I just see how they stop at stop signs in this town. They get stopped for a yellow light.
Well,
Do you
they're
put-
not necessarily meant to stop, but they're.
Do you put the tube full of flags and have the kids wave a flag when they're going? Are you gonna end up with flags at the end of the day? I don't know. You see that in a lot of places. There's a tube of flags there, and the kid's gonna walk, he grabs that flag and carry it, puts it in the tube on the other side.
You know, when I think about where our crossing guards are, one is up at Quick Trip. That's a 4-way stop. That's already a 4-way stop.
Yeah.
You know, on South Street, there's stop signs on South Street, so you only have to worry about the South Fairfield traffic. In my mind, those would be the 2 spots if we ever got down to,
Could eliminate, yeah.
you know, Highway 26 down by the restaurant is, you know, pretty dangerous, you know, being that they're moving along at the speed limit there, and then down by the school itself, because there you have everybody funneled in to that one spot, and then with before and after school pickup, but,
You have 4 places though right now, 4 locations?
yeah. Yeah, Quick Trip intersection, West Oak Grove and South Fairfield, South Street and South Fairfield, and Western Avenue by the school.
How about possibly getting high school kids that would be responsible for doing it?
Well, that had been done in the past, but the key word is responsible and ones that'll show up.
I
Every
just didn't
day.
know if it's something that was tried.
Yeah, it
You might
had
get-
been
Okay.
tried. Not saying that it can't be revisited. I haven't had this discussion yet with the district administrator, because I plan on discussing with the school too about that. In years past, they had school employees
Yeah,
that
can teachers
came
help out with this, or?
and do it, and that's always a gray area.
Yeah.
To do that, you know, because they're allowed so many hours and prep time and all that other extracurricular and that, and they have other duties at the end of the day too, or before school, so, No, it's not a good situation, it's not, I was just overwhelmed with joy last year when we had 2 people willing to fill in and be our fill-ins. Well, one of them pretty much has become the full-time person without wanting to be that full-time person, you know, because with Bob's retirement. And so I don't know. Like I said, just something to be aware of. And like I said, come budget time, we might be looking at ways to finance flashing lights. I mean, I don't know what else to do.
I think it's probably a good idea for included in your budget, even if we continue with crossing guards, because there's always, like you said, you get a week where 3 of them are gone, at least the lights take over then, or the lights add to the safety of them escorting kids across the street. I think it's just something that's gonna happen eventually, one way or the other. You've got an elderly staff there that, I mean, it was fortunate we had that couple for how many years? Decade or more than that?
Yeah,
Is she still doing it?
she is.
And I would have thought she would have given it up before he did, but his health is bad, and it's a shame. And that same note, did we do anything for Mr. Risk, or is it something that we should promote? A plaque of appreciation or something?
We did not do a plaque. We gave him a gift card,
Okay.
and so yeah, we recognize him that way from the police department on behalf of the city.
Okay.
I don't know what the,
It's kinda up to me, you know, but I think we owe him something for his dedication all those years. And I think he'd appreciate that,
oh yeah,
so let's see if that come off.
I got a question, Dave. How many kids walk to school anymore? Truth, because they pick up, I mean, the bus picks them up all over town. I mean, there's a group that meets by the co-op every morning, there's a group that meets, the bus picks them all up all over town.
it varies, and it's hard to tell now what that how many, and of course, I'm amazed at how many parents take their kids to school every day in the vehicle.
They pick them up.
Yeah.
Parked all the way up.
Yeah.
Parked all the way up the corners, it's crazy.
There it is.
It varies. Some days there's 6 kids you cross, and then sometimes more. So
I just didn't, well, I was like, what's going on? Every day that, there's a group sitting there, and one of them, Joe's Thomas, and we pick them up all over town and bus them to school. Yep.
I think the library and Dollar General and the city park are the 3 pick-up and drop-off spots.
The library, they can't
Yes.
walk from that point to school?
Well, that's where they'll drop them off after school.
It's the old days, Dan.
I guess not. Walked uphill both ways.
Mile and a half.
Don't worry about
Huh?
it. It'll go away.
Yours?
No, it might be for us. No.
Oh. I bet you
That
it
is.
is.
Yeah, that is.
Fire request sensitive.
That's kind of consistent with the city call for Juneau Fire and Juneau EMS. You're needed at 330 South Mill Street at Sensience Flavors, cross street of Lincoln Drive. Repeating, 330 South Mill
Oh, they had
Street.
an explosion in the
Callers
bathing
reporting they had
department.
a small explosion in the bagging department. There are no injuries. They have
I've got everything
evacuated the
turned
building.
in, so,
There's a
the
lot of
only
power
other
on
thing,
in the
there's the
room.
officers, if you wanna add that to
Unknown
the
what
minutes.
ignited it. They want everything to be checked out. You can
Right.
come through
I'm-
the south gate.
I'm gonna
Someone
run.
will meet you there. They are still in the process of evacuating. 7th page, 1924 KFI 14.
You get my reports.
Okay.
I just
Yep.
added a couple of reports, I just wanted to show you the kind of hours we put in every month. My members do, I mean, a little different than,
Radio back if you need.
Are you gonna go through the auto aid, or Dave, you wanna go through the auto aid? You sat through it
Yep,
last night.
yep,
You understand it enough?
yep.
Yeah.
John understands it too,
Yep.
so.
Okay.
Yep. Radio back if
I
you need
will.
us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gee, this is great, we're getting this all on camera, so people know that we're active.
Yeah.
And that we're not just down here for the camaraderie and the beer.
Well, we could have shut the meeting down if all of us.
Yeah, that would have been done, you guys. Dick and Jane, the Dick and Jane show.
Stop.
So, like I said, the crossing guard is just something
Okay.
that needs to be in people's minds so that when we do move on a different direction or just don't have them.
Well, I guess I like the consensus of this safety committee right now. Do you think it's a good thing for next year's budget? Because it'll be here before we know it, you know, October will be here, and it's something that this committee should recommend to Dave to move forward with getting prices at least on them and making the decision.
So these signs would light up, but they'd have to be pushed by the kids? A button would have to be pushed by the kids, or would they flash like every school day from
Well,
2:40?
From this time to that time.
Until 3:30,
you know, you could do it
program
a
them.
couple different ways. You could have them that they come on from 7:30 till 8 AM every day and flash continuous, or you could have them just flash when the button gets pushed. You know, sometimes when you have something all the time, people
Ignore it.
ignore it. So that's why, or if you have no school days,
Yeah.
and or early release, and I'm not saying that one's better than the other, but I've thought about that as to, well, do you just have them flash all the time? Cause then you don't have to worry about buttons, and you don't have to have a button on each side of the street.
Mhm.
Although you gotta have a sign on each
Yeah.
side, so.
The
I
worst
think-
place is 26, but
Yeah.
the rest
Yeah.
of it's
Yeah.
down there,
Yeah.
for sure.
I agree.
Yeah, they come rolling through there pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, and the state would never allow you to put anything on their highway. You have to have permission from them, and the last time I talked to them though, they said, well, you can do that, but we're not paying for it. Well, that we
Yeah, but
do,
go-
Yeah.
but at least they're in agreement that it's okay to put them up. So,
I would agree, you know, go ahead and get your pricing, but I don't think you can ever replace the, having a person there.
person there.
I think we definitely need to keep a person on those two intersections, especially that you talked about. I don't think crossing guards should be done away with completely.
yeah.
One right by the school.
By the school and by
And
village
and
garden
by-
there.
And by the
26
restaurant,
there, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of having people to do it.
Right.
That would be the only reason that they would go away, not because we as a city wanna do away
No,
with
but
it,
I think we should continue doing whatever we
Yeah.
can to keep people on those, for crossing
Absolutely.
guards.
Yeah.
Cause I'm telling ya, I never, seeing people going through stop signs at this town was crazy. They go through right on the old street there, and then they proceed to go right through on Quick Trip there. And I know you can only be in so many places at one time, but I think it's pretty bold going through two of them with absolutely no intent to stop. Then you put kids going to school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much in favor of having the ones that are activated when needed, because like I said, I think they get ignored when they're flashing all day
Right,
long.
yeah.
To me, I don't know what a flashing light will do, but.
Well, at least it draws attention, you know,
Yeah.
but,
But
yeah,
a
we're
stop sign
not,
should too.
we're not alone, you know,
Yeah, no.
every community is finding the same thing, trying to get people to,
You know, and I think the pay is reasonable, you know. You can't necessarily pay them for an hour each time, you know.
What are the intervals right now, a half hour or?
They get, yeah, they get 1 hour
1 hour.
paid for 1 hour a day or
Yeah,
a
for
half
two
hour.
shifts. Okay,
And we're at $15 an hour.
yeah.
You know.
The inconvenience of your life running to your station, 2 times a day is really worth something,
Yeah.
whatever. And I tried to promote a raise the last time and it was accepted wholeheartedly by the council, and if I can see another $5, $20 a day to make it a little more worthwhile again, it'd be more attractive.
Right.
Because like I said, it'd be a different thing if you got paid that for each trip, but I mean, used by the winter time, by the time you fire up your car and drive that, and the fuel and whatever, and the wear and tear on your car, you're not really too far ahead. Not that you're doing it for that purpose, but I do think there are some people that relied on that to help them out with their monthly bills, whatever, so.
So yeah, that was something too that I thought, well, maybe we raise it up to $20 and then it's $10 in the morning and 10
Looks
in
a
the
little more
afternoon.
attractive.
Right,
anyway.
yeah.
Food for thought.
And or we tell people too that you don't have to be both the morning and the afternoon. If you can only do the mornings,
We'd be happy with
that's
that.
fine too. Or if
Absolutely.
you can only be the afternoon, so.
Mhm.
Anybody that,
It's kind of a commitment though for folks.
or
It
it's
is,
a huge
yeah.
commitment,
Huge
and I give these men and women great credit for doing it every single day, because, it's one thing to get up in the morning, go do it, you can go on your day, but then you gotta be back. And that kind of ruins your afternoon, but they've been doing them for a long time, all of them have, and
You've been very lucky with the
Yeah.
group that you've had,
yeah.
very lucky.
So if we had high school kids do it, we could also pay them, right?
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
We can't even get them to run a camera. And that's a little more lucrative as far as the
That's
pay.
right,
and
that's
all
right,
that.
yeah, you're right.
But
Yeah.
It's,
Climate.
it's tough, it really is.
I'm just thinking they're there anyways,
Yeah.
especially for the one right by the school there, but yeah, I understand
Cheryl's still
finding
planning.
somebody responsible.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
I would research the
Yeah.
cost of the signs also.
Yeah, research the signs and lights and,
yeah,
Sounds
sounds
like
like
we're
budget
gonna
time
do
we'll be
some
talking about.
Budget stuff.
yeah.
So, like I said, it was just more or less for informational purposes and keeping you guys aware of, these are the real problems.
Yeah.
All right.
And then we had this came out of DPW, and I'm not sure all of it, but Scott had brought it up and said that it came from your Public Works Committee meeting about having DPW workers issue parking tickets.
No, we
Nothing
talked
about
about doing
parking
the
tickets.
sidewalks.
No.
Allowing them to do the sidewalks, but not tickets. What do you think about the idea?
They can't be issuing parking tickets, no.
They did years ago,
Did they?
yeah, it didn't go over well.
Well, there it is then.
They do-
That was many years ago.
Yes, they used to have, yeah.
Parking tickets were not discussed in DPW though, that I remembered.
No. We talked about just the sidewalk shoveling.
Right.
That you kind of take care of that. If someone hasn't shoveled their sidewalk, you send notices.
Increase the fee for that.
Yeah.
No, there was no discussion of Public Works that I'm aware of.
I don't recall that either, no. Not about issuing parking tickets, no. About people parking overnight, that's your dog about you're leaving your cars overnight on the street. No. we'll drop that one.
No action taken?
No action taken. Anything else, David?
No.
All right, we'll move on to EMS. Dan, monthly report, December,
Yeah,
January.
my December report in front of you there. For the month of December 2021, we had 55 calls compared to 42 calls the prior year. We've been busy. I just wanted to add with that report for December, I ran a little report for my members every month that just shows what kind of hours my members are putting in. So it looks kind of like this. Those are the hours they're on schedule for, so just wanted to show you what kind of, we got some dedicated members that put some hours in. Just make you guys aware of that.
What is the requirement, Dan?
24 hours a month keeps you as an active member, so that's per the bylaws. And then my,
Is he going to working still?
Special dispatch with a mutual aid request from the Juneau Fire Department. Juneau Fire Department has requested box card 23-10.
And then you have my report for January. Month of January, we had 40 calls compared to 27 the year before. And I did again put the hours of what my guys put in for hours a month, so. One more thing with my monthly report that I got an email yesterday from the Wisconsin EMS Association. Governor Evers approved $27 million to help stabilize EMS in the state. There's a bunch of things that he added onto that, so talked about increasing the Medicare, Medicaid rate for the state and that kind of thing. So when I get more information, I'll forward it on to you guys. But they did allocate some money in the state supposedly to help EMS out. So, and the other thing I have is just my slate of offers for 2022.
I just had a question on, for the hours that
Mhm.
she showed here.
Yep.
There's 12 on the one report and 13 on the other. How many members do you have with the EMS? Is this it?
That's it.
Alright.
And the hours I pull off of here, those come off of, we do a schedule, it's called EMS Manager. And so it's a computerized system. Everybody has it on their phone or their computer at home, and that's how you sign up, and that's how we track hours and that kind of thing. And these are unpaid hours. We don't get paid unless we go on a call, so I mean, so
You're on
you sit home
call.
all weekend for Friday until Monday morning, and the pay doesn't go up. I mean, you do get a yearly stipend for being an EMT, but it's a dedicated, we got some dedicated people in our community that help us, so.
It's just sad to see that this is all.
That's it.
You can see them get burned out.
These aren't EMTs, these are drivers combined.
There's Cole's the driver, Steve's the driver. I think I got 2 drivers, so everybody else is an EMT.
Where does this Mackenzie UTEC fit?
Mackenzie's an EMT. She's at college right now.
Okay.
She does run when she comes back into town once in a while and runs calls.
Does she? Okay.
Well, what'd she have the month before? Did she have any? No. She's more in the summertime, helps us, but she does have a license. I would like to have her keep the license current if she could. And I didn't pay for her schooling or none of her stuff. She did it all on her own, so she was kind of a free one. So.
Good.
Would you like a motion then for the officers?
I don't think you got it. That's just information for you.
Yeah, it is.
It's not forwarded for
I
council
don't believe
approval?
that's forwarded, I
I
don't
believe
know.
so.
If we've ever done that, no.
I thought it was always council approval.
Fire chief. Fire chief's appointed.
So we got these two for, we always, council approved them and then we updated our list.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
That's
if
the
it's,
case,
if
go
you
ahead and
don't
send
do
it, I
any
don't care,
work.
I put it in her packet, so that's.
The only,
that's fine.
the only one that's required is fire chief, yeah.
Okay.
He's gotta be bonded.
I'll have my annual report probably next one.
Did
Okay.
they stay the same? Officers?
Yeah, nothing's changed.
Kim,
So here, I'll give you guys that, so there's, I put one over there in the packet, so.
There you go.
yeah.
That one?
I just gotta make sure Wade's doesn't take this council packet one.
And that's a complete package, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, anything else, man?
That's all I had.
Yep. All right, Kirk, fire chief, had to go to a call, so he handed out his monthly report, calls we had here. And the other thing he had was, an auto aid agreement with Burnett and Horicon, and we had an example here.
Sharon, the only question I had on this was, I don't know, I had some stuff with them in the past where the mayor signed off on it, so I don't know if the mayor needs to sign off for this, I mean, or this just can be handled by the chief.
I suppose we have to send this to city council.
I would think, and
I would
the
think a
attorney,
resolution.
Yeah.
you know, have your attorney look at it, I mean, it's.
Yeah, it's probably gonna have to be forwarded on to the council.
Mhm. Even though it's not gonna affect salaries much, it will have an effect.
A little bit, it might, you know, it might. And like they work it, you know, if they have something small, they call you off, cause everybody will be paged. Horicon got something, Juneau, Burnett will be, you know, will be paged, but if they don't need us, they'll call us off right away. The same thing with us, if we get a call, we can call them off right if we don't need them.
If we don't roll, the members that responded don't get paid.
Don't get paid, yeah. If the truck don't live in the building, we don't get paid. But it's kinda like a formality, you know, there's all the county fire departments are doing it, I mean, everybody needs help.
It's good to have, right?
Yep. 'Cause the memberships are dwindling.
These small communities just don't have people working within their community anymore. Everybody's out of town, so, you know, the handful that you have left, if they can be aided by a neighboring department, you'll have enough to respond and do something effectively.
So you're looking for a motion to forward these to council?
Yeah, I think we need a motion to forward it to council.
Okay, well, I would like to make a motion then to forward the auto aid agreement with Burnett and Horicon to common council.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Foodie, second by Evans, to move the auto aid agreement with Burnett and Horicon to the common council. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And then the other one, we had just the fire officer election results. If you had a- Do you have a list of that or not?
I have it over there.
Oh, you have it?
Chief is Kurt Minman, Assistant Chief is Dan Zink, Captain is Ed Weiss, Lieutenant is Jenny Coombs, Safety Officer is Dan Wagner, and then the three trustees are Jay Skalma, Joe Coombs, and Jesse Schuster. So it was the fire chief, he was reelected at the January meeting. Ed was elected captain last night. So those are probably the only two changes, cause the other ones were current,
Correct.
all current ones.
Yeah.
Secretary treasurer was.
Oh, I guess that wasn't listed, but
Yeah, so he was just reelected, so right.
Who was?
Joel.
Joel
Skalma.
Skalma.
Oh,
as the
for secretary, yeah.
treasurer. As they always say at the meeting, that's a life term.
Yeah.
And we have one open lieutenant slot pending certifications.
Yeah. All right, with that, moving on.
Do we gotta send the chief to council?
Yes.
So I'd make a motion to, approve the chief's appointment and send it to council.
Second.
All right, we'll move the common council to approve the fire chief Kurt Nimden to council. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we have emergency government director monthly report. Anything, David?
No, that's not. I mean, yeah. We'll just go with no.
Okay. Okay, does anybody have any future agenda items? Any old business? Any new business? We'll set time and date for next meeting, December 23rd. Yeah, what's that? Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
I just caught that too, I was like,
Yeah.
huh, that's interesting.
Going back
Oh,
in
yeah.
time?
Should be March.
That's the right date?
March
24th?
24th.
24th it should be,
In 2022.
no, it's always the third one, is it the 4th? 24th?
The 24th is the,
March
well,
24th.
it's the fourth Thursday, but there's 5 Thursdays.
Yeah.
so,
Right, so.
It always is before personnel. So, yeah, March 24th would be the correct.
With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Evans, second by Cooley, adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. We're adjourned. Yeah.